this next section, actually the next couple of sections, we're going to talk about a lot of different web tools and verifying information. And it's a lot more fun, honestly, if you have your computer and click on these and you can background yourself and your friends and your enemies, your sources, whoever you want to background while we're going through this. And feel free to shout out fun things that you find too, or any questions that you have about these tools. But it's good to get some hands-on experience using some of them too, so you remember like what you found and what was good. So please feel free to play along at home. I'm moving into the web search and backgrounding, and this title here, we use this at our conferences, so I kind of stole this, but I love to say backgrounding like a boss, because you feel like you can find out anything about anyone when you learn some of these tools. So I said a little bit about this last session, but always be backgrounding. Basically, this is the famous movie scene, always be closing when you're selling, but we like to really, really say always be backgrounding. Have this front of mind anytime you're dealing with a person or a business, and I mean any person, but especially politicians and people who are like big, powerful figures in the community. There's tons of information out there about them, and it's really on us to find out what's going on in their lives and tell people about it. And I mentioned especially politicians. This was after I left Corpus Christi, but I just love this example so much. They had a Hispanic mayor, super, super popular, and in November 2016, she was beat by this guy who really came out of nowhere. No one really knew him or anything about him. He was an engineer, and I don't know, people who you do not expect to win will win, I guess is the point here. So he came into office, and there were a couple rocky things at the beginning. They had to shut off water to the whole city on his like second day, and things were awful. And after he won, the media started backgrounding him. And I think they got some tips about, oh, he lied about his degree on his LinkedIn page, like he's not really being honest about his background. He did a couple other things, like he hired his live-in girlfriend as his assistant against like all nepotism rules in the city. And he lasted 37 days in office and resigned via Facebook. He had an open letter to the community. It was the whole thing. He has a self-published book on Amazon if you would like to read about it. And is now running for Congress in San Antonio.
Oh, Lord.
Won't go away. But, you know, if some of this stuff about his degrees and who he is, like, if that would have come out before the election, would he have been elected? I can't really say, you know, we don't know, but all you can do is put the information out there. And backgrounding every politician, getting their curriculum, their CV or their resume, or using their LinkedIn page and seeing how honest they are about that stuff is pretty crucial. And it caused a lot of, I mean, it was bad national attention for Corpus, and they also had to have a very expensive new special election to replace him. And while they were doing that, this woman ran to replace him, not making this up. And she had a whole list of accomplishments in her life, and basically none of them were true. But she said, not making this up, she gave an entire speech in South Texas at a Rotary Club about her Olympic gold medal experience. As far as anyone can tell, she wasn't even like at the Olympics. Like she wasn't on a team. She definitely did not win. It's crazy. These people are out there.
They are.
And they're running for office.
Public office.
Yes, they're running for public office. Sometimes they win. But the point is, you gotta check them out. You gotta check them out. Definitely all of the politicians and big figures in your community who are in your stories a lot, but also, you know, coaches and principals and superintendents and basically anyone who's in your story should get a good, anyone who's figuring prominently in your story should get a good scrub down. So some general guidelines as we go into this. We're going to go through tons and tons of online tools that might have information about certain people or apply in certain situations. But man, no matter where you're finding information, you've got to verify it. Obviously, we know this as reporters, but I want to point this out because so much online information is, I mean, either not true or there could just be a mix-up in a database, right? Or you're searching for a very common name and maybe it's the wrong person. You've got to go back and get primary source documents. What do I mean by primary source documents? Yeah, they're the actual records. So if you find something about a business, Denise started a business, and I found that online. I live in Kansas, like go to the Kansas Secretary of State's office, like find those actual documents. Or if you're writing about a court case or a lawsuit, go to that court. Sometimes you can get it online, sometimes you have to go to the courthouse, right, and get that lawsuit or get those charges against me. Get those primary documents so you know what you were looking at and you know it's true. But all of these online searches really help you track down, like, where is a person? So like, what courthouse should I search? And things like that. Some of these also, the people finders and some weird websites like that might have some weird information. So it's a great idea to put yourself into these websites, like search yourself, and you know what's accurate about you. So you can kind of test the accuracy of a website like that by just saying like, oh, does this really know me? Like, is this true information? Our goal here is to help you sift through a lot of junk and try to find information very quickly, because there is a lot of junk out there. We're trying to really target, but you might have to sift through a lot of hay, find your needles. And then the other key piece here about being in the mindset of thinking through everything this person does in their life and their business, like put yourself in their shoes and then think about, okay, well, what information does that create? Have they been arrested, or have they started a business, or do they give political donations? That kind of thing to find information about. So we're gonna walk through some stuff here. Making it a habit. At the end of this, I have some checklists for you guys, but I highly recommend you taking those checklists and customizing them for your beat or your location, so you can put in your courthouse, your police department, all of those things that you're gonna check often, because this helps you speed things up. You can just mark off, check off everything on your list for people in your story, and it makes things go very quickly. Like, I'm gonna check for everybody, I'm gonna do a Google search, and I'm going to do a social media search on them. I'm gonna do Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, or whatever it is. It's a good conversation to have in your newsroom too about what you guys want to develop. Getting the resumes of all of these prominent people, or they're using their LinkedIn page to see how they're touting themselves. And then in interviews, this is another good question to add to your interviewing list. Is there anything in your background that I need to know? And even see if they'll tell you. You can even let people know, like, I am going to background you. So if you have anything to tell me now. Could save you a lot of time. Or you could just see how they react, like, nope, everything's okay. Nothing to see here. Gives you a clue that you need to maybe look a little deeper. This is the coolest thing I have ever seen. And I wish that this existed when I was a reporter. But one of my colleagues, our trainer, Patty DiVincenzo, who actually worked here at WSB for almost 20 years, this was her start page on her computer. And this is a totally free tool. It's called start.me. And you can go there and customize your start page on your computer. Like when you open your web browser, this is what comes up. And since we're here in Atlanta and she was from Atlanta, you guys could probably literally copy everything she has on here, like link for link, and you would have a really awesome research backgrounding page all set up. She was an investigative producer, and she was all about finding information super quickly, even in breaking news situations. So she has some like local research. She had some just good reads down here, watchdog reporting that she loved. I would love to picture her just coming in and checking this every morning to read good stories. She had statewide research, she had US data and research, and she had some favorite tools here, like just super cool, totally free tool. Just set yourself up for like I'm going to find information quickly. But keep in mind when you're going through this, you saw all the websites she had to be kind of ready for anything or to find any information. There is no magic website. There's no just one-stop shop for this kind of thing. How many of you have access to LexisNexis? Well, that's quite a bit. More and more newsrooms are ditching that just because it's so expensive, right? About half of you have access. And that's awesome. That's about as close as you come to a one-stop shop, but it doesn't give you everything, and you still have to verify all of that information too. I would also keep in mind if you're working on a project and you are going to say confront someone, you want to know all about them before. Even in like feature situations, you probably want to do some of this backgrounding beforehand because you might need to ask them about it. And if you have a one shot at them, you're gonna have to ask them like, oh, hey, why were you arrested last year in another state or whatever it is. You gotta ask them. So it's a good idea to do this before the interview if you're only gonna have one shot. And then again, we're just starting from the point of verifying and doing your shoe leather reporting work. Keep all of your information in some kind of organized format. Again, I'm gonna just say use a spreadsheet because you can link to everything that you find. You can write the dates. You can then come in and even sort this by date and have a timeline and a good picture of their life right there, and or their business or whatever it is you're backgrounding. You're organized, and you don't just have like paper and PDFs and crazy stuff everywhere. So I've been there too, and then you're going back and you're just causing yourself so much more pain and time trying to find it later. All right, so now let's get into these tools. Some of these will help you in some situations and some in others, but Google should just kind of always be your first stop. A search of them. Where does this person work? Where have they been? What do they do? Have they been in the news? How many of you Google search your sources? Yeah. Google is an amazing tool, and it's like a blessing and a curse, right? Because there's so much out there that you might find that's not related or that you don't really want to see. So I think it's worth the time to invest in learning Google really well. And I'll show you guys a good course for that. But I always started with the Google Advanced Search page. If you go to this Google Advanced Search, this is so much better than the regular Google page because you have so much more control and you can filter your results and you can find different file types even. So we're going to do some of that. At the top here is ways to filter and do your search that are like, I'm going to find every single word in exactly this way, or find all of these words but not these words. And you don't have to remember all the like quotes and minuses and pluses and all of that stuff, right? It's like, find all of these words. That's just your normal Google search, that top one. Find this exact word or phrase that's in quotes. None of these words, any of these words. Find numbers, for example. So if you just search for, you guys can search for yourself. I'm going to search for me. And I have a fairly uncommon name. There are other Denise Mellons in the world, believe it or not. We'll find them also. But let's say you want to search for me and there's all kinds of stuff on the internet about me doing different things and different pieces of my life. So you're like, this is not really super helpful information about me. Let's say you only want to know about me and my job. Now we can filter down here at the bottom of that page. The bottom half is filtering to whatever you might need. So once you find a person, I guess I should also say if it's a very common name, like if you're searching for Jeff Smith, You're gonna have to use other pieces of information in your search to like try their middle name, try where they live or where they work, or any other piece of information you might know to try to find the right one, obviously, and it can take a while to get your search terms just right. But for me, like I know I work at IRE, and let's say I want to narrow everything about me just to IRE. At the bottom here, you can search for me, my name, anywhere on the IRE website, for example. So you can see anything I do connected to my job at IRE. So I'm just going to put in the site box, site or domain, ire.org, and advanced search. And now it's narrowed down to, this is like every event I've ever spoken at, and my staff bio, and my contact, and you're finding really me. My other favorite way to use this page is to search for either people or businesses in documents online. Now, Google is known for and is great for searching web pages, but also if anyone uploads documents online, like an Excel spreadsheet, a PowerPoint, a PDF, Google can crawl those too. So it's actually indexing all the information in them, which when I first found this, like, blew my mind. But I'm going to search for myself, so I'm still in the search terms at the top. And down here is where you can do this, the file type. I'm going to search for myself in Excel files. And you guys might want to do this too. Just search for yourself. See if anything comes up. And I'll show you what happens here. This first link, 13 years ago, younger Denise put in a FOIA request with the federal government, and it is online still in this spreadsheet. But I'll see it when you click this link, it's literally an Excel sheet with my name in it.
Where did you go for that?
Yeah, I'll show you again in a sec. So here I am, like I put in a request for some photos of our jail. It's when you're on the advanced search page, search terms at the top, and then down here at the bottom, file type of whatever format you're looking for. And I know people who have found themselves in spreadsheets that's like they're in their city kickball league or something, and someone put a spreadsheet online, and it's like all of their contact information, their cell phone number. You might find crazy information about people that's just someone put it online and thought no one would ever find it. I've also seen stories, these were actual stories that were written about because they were privacy issues, but like universities actually accidentally putting a spreadsheet of students online. So but it's like, here's your student ID number and everything about, yeah, right? You can find so much through this. And it might not be even like, I don't know how to find this file through a link. I don't know where it exists on the internet. I still don't. I've looked for it. But I can find it through a Google search, yeah.
Can you narrow to a year or a date?
You can, yes. Let's do that too. I will say about these file types, PowerPoint is another amazing thing to search for, because all of these, like if you're trying to find a source or information about let's see. Oh, I know a reporter uses for Border Patrol, for example. Super secretive agency, right? They won't ever tell you anything, but they have conferences and meetings just like we do, and they put their PowerPoints online. And so they were searching for conference PowerPoints and found cool stuff. Pam, did you have?
Well, I think I know what to do. So when I put in my name, I get a lot of my first name and my last name all mixed up and stuff.
Yeah.
So if I put it in the second line under exact word or phrase,
yes,
keep them together.
Yes, it will end in that exact order. It's like putting quotes around it.
Because I put quotes around it in the first part and it didn't seem to matter.
Yeah, try the second one. Exact word or phrase. Okay, so as to your question about, or someone's question, yours, about how to narrow down by time. Like if I want everything about myself, but only in the last year or something. I'm gonna search for me, and I'm gonna go ahead and do the search as is, like normal Google search. This is kind of a hidden thing because you have to run the search first, and then this tools box comes up. And when you click on tools, it brings up this time filter. So it's like you have to click on a couple things. Did everybody catch that? Click on tools, and then it brings up time filter, so everything about me in the past year, or if you want to just see everything, everything in like 2018, for example, you can do a custom range. So it's a good way to, easy way to narrow down information too. So Google is seriously an amazing tool for finding information about people because so much is on the internet, and once it's there, it's basically impossible or very, very difficult for people to get it off of the internet.
I think I know the answer to this, but when, for example, we're searching our own name, even if we're doing the advanced search, et cetera,
Yeah.
should we still assume Google's algorithms know who we are and that's why they're presenting our own information early up?
So, such a great question. If you are a Google user and you're like signed in and it tracks all your searches and it also knows you, probably, yes. I would assume that it's using all of that information available to it to search that. So if you want to do a like blank slate search where so maybe this is how other people might find you, for example, I would sign out and I would clear my cache. Like clear all of your cookies out of Google, and you go into settings and you can clear everything. So it's like it forgets you in every search you've ever done. Because every search you make affects the next one, and Google knows everything about me and everything I'm interested in and everywhere I go and everything. And it uses all that to like give you information that you think it thinks is relevant to you. Yeah. So yeah, I would assume it's using that.
So I thought my name was really common, but then I was surprised at my own journal's website on the top search.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Sign out and just see if that, or go to like
an incognito page.
incognito page, go to Firefox where you're not signed into anything, and like, yeah, that's a great point. So there is actually a dude at Google who teaches everyone, including journalists. He comes to our conferences a lot, and he has online courses on how to do power searching with Google, and I would highly recommend this. I think it's worth the time investment. It's been, you can even skip around in it to stuff that's relevant to you, but invest an hour or two in this and it'll probably save you like untold time just in being able to find information quickly. So he has a couple courses on here on his website that's linked in this presentation. Dan Russell is the best. Any other Google questions? Google is amazing, as I said, but it's also not the only search engine, obviously. So you might want to try searching people through different search engines because they have different algorithms and different ways they find information. A couple I would point out on here. DuckDuckGo is the kind of anti-Google as far as like privacy and tracking you and everything. Does anyone use DuckDuckGo? A few people. I've actually seen it advertised on billboards and stuff now, so I think it's becoming more widely used, but it does not track you and your searches or your IP address or anything like that. So if you want to go as like incognito as possible, I would say try DuckDuckGo. You guys who have used it before, do you get good results from it? You feel like you're getting, David?
You have to be very specific because it doesn't use the same kind of algorithms that Google does. So what it's going to do is really sort of things that are not going to be pushed to the top by advertisers or that are not the most common searches. Sometimes you have to be a little bit more creative with your searches.
Yeah.
But it will find things that are not, that you wouldn't find Google searches or it's going to be way down to page 20. So there's a trade-off, but it can be much better in terms of sometimes finding more unexpected things, higher up.
Yeah, those are great tips, and I will start using that info because I've heard from people like, oh, I don't find the same stuff, and it's like, well, maybe it's not number one, or
Because it's not being pushed by the
Yeah. Yeah, that's very good to know. The other, well, I'll point out also Dogpile, just because it's kind of cool. It searches many different search engines at once, and it'll bring up a million pages searching through Bing and Google and Yahoo and different things. So it's kind of a good time saver. And then also, Million Short is kind of cool. Because like, as David mentioned, like sometimes you have to scroll through 10 pages or 20 pages of results. And you know, if something bad happens to someone, like if they're in the news for something stupid, they can buy an image consultant to help them. And you can't take the stuff off the internet about you being stupid, but you can push down the bad search results. Like you can create new good stuff. And that's what they do a lot of times. And so it's like, the first page of Google says you're a great and wonderful person who loves puppies or whatever, but if you keep clicking through, you get to the bad stuff. So Million Short allows you to do that. It just like, you do a search and then you remove the top, it works just like Google, so, you know, put their name into here, but then you can remove the top 100 results or the top 1,000 or however many, so you don't have to keep clicking through and clicking through to find information about people. Just like a deeper search, basically. Those are the ones I will mention in there. Oh, the other thing, message boards. This board reader is a message board type search, and people have like professional groups, professional message boards where sometimes they say things that don't make them look so good. You've seen these stories about like the Border Patrol and police saying terrible things about people in their message board and stuff, and that's one possible way to find them. We'll talk about social media stuff too. This one, so overlooked, but your own library, your own story archive. This person got arrested 20 years ago, or did something stupid, it could be in there. Google News search as well, or Lexis if you have access to LexisNexis. Just search and see if they were in the news, good or bad. It's good to know. All right, now we get into some of the creepier stuff. So, if you were disturbed by some of this, that is totally normal, but it's super helpful for us as reporters. The point of people finders is not so much like, I need to write everywhere Denise has lived, but it's finding out these pieces of information about me that you can use to find out more, right? Like, find out where I lived and when, so you can go to those police departments or do a court search of me there. Whatever it is, or needing to know my birth date, right, that you can identify me. Just gathering some threads with these people finders. And in some cases, it does give you phone numbers, including cell phone numbers, that you might be able to just call me up and talk to me, even if I'm hiding from you. Cell phone numbers, how many of you have so much trouble finding cell phone numbers now about from people? You're just, like, there's no white pages anymore. There's no information to call and get cell phone numbers. So Nexus, I know, turned up cell phone numbers for me quite a bit when I was in the newsroom and had access to it. But it is expensive. And not everyone has it, and sometimes it doesn't turn up what you need. I'm going to show you guys my favorite, completely free, don't have to sign up for it even, tool to find people. Family Tree Now. Has anyone used it? Okay. Family Tree Now started as like a ancestry site, essentially, and I guess it still is. But really it's a people finder. It pulls public records from everywhere, who knows where, and can tell you where people lived and when, and phone numbers. And it's, again, I am not signed in or anything. I am just going to search for myself. And if you know a city or state where that person has lived, I would use that too, especially if it's a common name. But I'm just going to search for me. show you what comes up here. I don't mind you seeing info about me. But it brought up 8 Denise Mallons, various ages and places. And so you kind of need to know roughly how old is this person, you know, which one might be the right one. I'm not 62, but this is me here. So I'm gonna click on that. And it tells you, I mean, associated names is probably just misspellings of my name somewhere. It's not like I have aliases that I use or anything shady like that. But here, possible relatives, because remember this is an ancestry site. This is my mom, my brother, my sister, my dad, a misspelling of my brother's name, and my grandfather, who is no longer around. It is like my entire immediate family, if you were trying to track me down. And then this kind of thing, if you try to click on like full background report, that's going to take you, it's like an ad. It's going to take you to something else that you have to pay for and it's probably not even good. So don't click on those. Possible associates, I've honestly never figured this part out because I don't know any of these people except for the last guy is my former brother-in-law. It's my sister's ex-husband. But the rest of the people I don't know. And so I don't know how much stock I would put into that. You can search yourselves to see. Now I get into the stuff that I'm really interested in. Literally every address I have ever lived going back to my parents' house 20-some years ago. My current address, Mission, Kansas. The thing is, the dates are off. The dates are completely off, but like the order is correct and the addresses are correct. But it is every place I have ever lived. Even dorm rooms. Even internships in a place I lived for 2 months. Here's my dorm rooms. I lived in Maine for, those dates are correct, 2 months in the year 2000. 504 Hobson Place, Pittsburgh, Kansas, that's my parents' house. Or was then. How bananas is that? And so now you know all the places I've lived, my general history, and then even more so, did you guys find some phone numbers?
Found my cell
Cell phone number.
Yeah. This top one is my current cell phone number. The second one is my mom's, so please don't call my mom. Other phone numbers I've had at various places that are no longer valid, but if you start, like if you just start with that first one, that's me directly. So, yeah.
So, I don't know if you know the answer to this, but like I've tried searching myself like with several bits of criteria and I could not find myself like at all. I acknowledge that I probably have to be a common name, but I believe middle initial, birth year, things like that. And I haven't been able to find myself. I'm just wondering like what that might say about you can't find yourself.
Well,
Yeah.
it could be several things,
Yeah.
honestly. Number one, like if you're searching, I don't know if you've done this, but if you're searching for another person on here particularly, you can opt out of this website.
Oh,
They will take your information off. And so, and there have been news stories about it even, like privacy type news stories, so a person might opt out. A lot of other people finders will not. They just have straight up policies like this is public information, we're using it, like don't talk to us. But they do have an opt out page and they will opt you out. But it also just might be that in all of this public information, and I don't know the ins and outs of their process, but it might just be that like they can't connect the information that you put in to any profile. You know what I mean? Again, mine's pretty easy because of my name. Denise Mallon in California, though. Someday I will meet her. She exists. I see her on social media sometimes when I'm searching. I got all the Denise Mallons though, like all the names, all the logins. But it exists. It's there. If you do want to opt out of this and you're totally creeped out, it's familytreenow.com/opt-out. And you can put in your info and they'll take you off. Just don't tell too many people because I love finding people on here. Privacy is one of those things that's like, as a person, I'm horrified, but as a reporter, I'm like, give me more, yeah. Like, give me more. We won't go through all of these, but I would say if, for example, like Family Tree now has just become kind of my first stop, my go-to, because I found so many things on it. But maybe try some of these others if you can't find a person and just see what you get. These things change all the time too. They change the way they search and the way they get information. We used to use People a lot too, PIPL, but they've gone to a paid service and they're this whole deal now, so just I would never pay for anything like this as a general rule, because it's probably still going to be really dicey. So I would be trying to track down a person, maybe even if you're lucky, finding their phone number and all their addresses. Think through vital records too. Great way to just find out people and their relatives is obituaries. Like if their parent died or a relative of theirs died, and it'll list the whole family. And so if you can't find me, maybe you could try to track down my mom, right? Just think through finding all the relatives, wedding registries. People put information about themselves online, even if they might think they're a private person, like, oh, I've got my Facebook locked down, or I'm not even on Facebook, but then they'll do like a wedding page on the Knot or something, right? And you can find information about them, where they live, I mean, not their address, but their city, who they hang out with. This was a cool story. The Tennessean, there was a judge he had given a light sentence to his daughter's fiance. If your daughter's fiance is in your court, you should recuse yourself. Just pro tip. But the Tennessean was able to confirm that they were engaged because they were on a wedding registry site. Grave sites, vital recs, there's all kinds of links there that I won't really go through. Grave searches, things like that that you might come in handy. Courts and crime. This is what we're looking for a lot of time, right? We're looking for like, who is a bad person, or what bad things has this person done? So I would highly recommend looking through PACER, which is the federal court system. Do you guys have PACER accounts? Most of you do. If you, so PACER is, the federal government makes you pay even for searches. If you've never used PACER before, is it 10 cents now a page? Even for searching. So like if it returns search results, you pay for those pages, which is so stupid and wrong, but that's the world we live in right now. So I will give you this other resource, the court listener page right there it's from the Free Law Project that believes, as I do, that court records should be free. But they are with, hold on here. Court listener. So they have a browser extension that you can put on your Chrome or your Firefox, and if you search PACER for anything, it collects those documents. So it's like crowdsourcing documents from everybody who's searching PACER, and they put them all online and let you search them for free. So if you are looking for someone, especially a really common name, this might be a good place to start and see if you can find cool stuff. And if you don't, then maybe go to PACER, because PACER is the only source that has everything. But this could be a free, good start for you, and it's only going to keep getting better and better. They already have millions of opinions and documents and everything. Recap is the name of their browser extension, so if you want to put that on your browser, you can do that too. It's what's that, anagram mix-up of PACER. Also the state courts, I put a link here to your state courts. I was noticing, is it true, because this is what it looked like to me, that like the biggest counties, that their courts are not online here?
Mostly online, but not all the documents are available.
Yeah.
You can see the docs and it's-
Okay.
There's
That's
another
so annoying.
service, though, that has, called Peach Court, that
Okay.
has a lot of the smaller counties and, some some of the larger ones too. There's also things
Yeah. Peach Court?
Peach Court.
Okay, Peach Court.
For county courts. But then like the larger ones mostly have their dockets and some records online.
There you go, Peach Court. And it makes you sign in, but is it free?
It's free to sign up, but then it's 50 cents a page.
Oh.
Gotta really wanna, you gotta really narrow down on the documents
Yeah,
that you
you
want.
have to be very selective. You don't want to just put delivery of service.
Right. There's some more links here to like sex offender registry, things like that. Social media is going to be a lot of the focus that we go through in the next section, so I'm not going to go in depth into it at the moment. I would say to remember like all the different social medias like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, but also think about crowdfunding. Like if someone has crowdfunded, there could be information about them. They give a whole narrative about their lives that might or might not be true, but it could be out there. If you have like their email or any online handles, just Google search their Twitter handles, see what comes up. There's just a good read there. Do you guys remember the whole James Comey having an anonymous Twitter account for a while? And this is how people like track down, like this has got to be James Comey. It's just a good read. Corporate and business records. If you know someone owns a business, or if you're trying to check out if they own a business, this is where you would go. I recommend starting with these top ones, either Corporation Wiki or Open Corporates, because think about when someone starts a business, they have to file with the state, right? So if you want to know everything about them and where they might have interests in other states, you'd have to go to 50 different states. But Corporation Wiki and Open Corporates do that. Open Corporates even has some in like international locations. And then if you find something, you would go to that state and verify it. It's a good, quick search. And it also, let's just look at Corporation Wiki really quickly because it does a cool thing where if you find someone, you can look at their network also. So are they on the board of a company with these other people and who are those people? And it helps you get to know their associates. So I know. This is my favorite person to background. He was our congressman in Texas, and he owned a lot of different businesses, so we'll look at him more in the next section, but you can see here, he's on the board of this, Port Royal by the Sea, and you can start clicking, I'm not in there, but you can start clicking once you log in, it's a free login. And it starts to like build a network and visualize who people are connected to. The other thing that is, I think, really useful on here is okay, I'm not going to unblock the ads because I have a rule against that, but this BRB Pub page is a free listing. You would have to unblock ads on it to see it, but it's a listing of occupational, like professional licensing boards in every state. So you could like click on Georgia and be like, how do I find teacher licenses or doctor licenses or attorney licenses? Because again, thinking through the person's life and positions they've held, like if they have been disbarred, or been like professionally reprimanded in any way, you can find that out with their licenses. There's so many licenses too. I mean, cosmetology, all of that good stuff. Politics, do they donate to a lot of people? Do they donate federally or state? I would say the most useful part of this one, ProPublica's itemizer. You guys use ProPublica's tools ever to find, aren't they the best? Yeah, which one do you use a lot?
I've used the one for the, finding, was the cleanup or, environmental.
Yes,
Yeah.
that would be good. The FEC itemizer is the one I love for campaign committees. And you can come in and find who is donating to these, and you can also just find like all of the latest stuff in here. It's just so much easier to use than the federal website. And that's Republica's whole point, is to make things easier to use. The other thing I will show you is for state races. Like if you're trying to see if someone here gives money to every state, it's kind of the same thing as the business issue. There's 50 different states and 50 different filing systems. So followthemoney.org is doing the tough work of bringing all of that together so you can search it. Do you guys have who's like a big time local donor that we could see where they're giving?
Tyler
Wait, hold on, let me get to the tool here. So I always start with this Ask Anything button up here. And I'm looking at contribution data within federal, state, and local from a specific contributor. Just kind of think through your question and follow it there. What was the name, David? Or who said that?
It was Tyler Perry.
Tyler Perry, like the Tyler Perry?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And it's Perry like this.
Yep.
Is he Emmett or there's a lot of Tyler Perrys?
Oh, it could be this.
Oh, Tyler Perry Studios.
Yeah.
Let's try that. Two records in this particular query of $6,000. But maybe some of those other Tyler Perrys were also him, so I'd have to kind of go back and get them all.
Emmett is his full name.
Is it Emmett? Okay.
All of Money is a great resource for all states. For Georgia, you have to be careful to check it against original records
Oh, yeah.
because
100%.
the data that the Ethics Commission has is a mess. And so they're relying on, in a lot of cases, metadata,
Yes.
especially anything that's annotated. So before you can go with a story based on this, you have to go back, not just to the electronic versions that actually the original filings, that the numbers are all.
Yeah. I totally agree, and
Based on what they're getting.
yeah, same rule like we were just talking about with the businesses too. Like you gotta go to those primary source documents for everything. But it's a good search tool to be able to find out, oh, is Tyler Perry giving in Georgia and Ohio and California? And then I can go to those states and verify. Because you guys saw, what Dave was talking about, even just with this example we pulled out of our hats, it's exactly the problem here of who, like this is super, super dirty data, super. Like it comes to Follow the Money, super dirty. They do what they can with it, but it's like impossible to clean it all, and it's just like, it's impossible that this will ever be perfect and 100% reliable. Like this is not the world we live in at all. So yeah, always verify. We were searching Tyler Perry. A lot of those could be him, but a lot of them are not. Emmett, E, all of those things. That was more interesting, 131,000.
Sorry, can you open the data export, like we see what
Yeah. So then what I would do with this is, like they have a huge query system right here. But what I would do is when I find them, I would just download them as an Excel file so you can have everything, you know? It's just easier. And you do have to create an account to do that and be able to, and log in to get it, but it's free. So, all right, that's politics. Who is behind that website? If you guys have a website that's like the AtlantaMayorSucks.com or something like that, you want to find out who's behind it, this is the kind of service that can do that. I will show you my favorite part of this, which is the reverse who is. If you want to know everything that a person owns, all of the domains that a person owns, you can use this or try this, because there are ways to hide it as well, but it's a pretty good search. I'm just going to show you how it works with us. Oops, I need to write it in hand. So everything that IRE owns on the internet, there is all of our websites going back to, we bought one in 1997. It's like, but all of our domains that we own, essentially. We bought a lot of like investigative reporting, investigative journalists, that we don't even really use, we just own them. So sometimes you can also find out if someone's running for office by looking at the domains that they have bought. So again, we're going to go further into social media in the next hour or so, but this is my kicker here to drive home the point to background everyone for your stories, even a daily feature story. Kate Howard, who is the reporter I mentioned who coined the backgrounding like a boss and the 15-minute background check for us, she lets us share this story because this is a true example that happened to her. And she did a story back in 2010 of this guy, Dan Benedict, who was starting a new charity to help sex trafficking victims. And he was a Green Beret and a nurse and a born-again Christian, and he was going to help young women. And all of that is very true. So her story ran, and the next day, I think she got a phone call from someone to say, hey, did you check that guy out? Because he also is a convicted sex predator, essentially, like white supremacist. He had also been convicted of, he was a terrorist also, like he had tried to, or there was a plot to blow up a bridge in town. Like, he was a terrible human being. And it just like, even talking about it, I'm like, oh God, I feel for her so much still, you know? But she shares this example at our conferences, and she allows us to share it to help people realize that you can, it's so easy to just be like doing a story and for this to happen to you. It can happen to any of us. So try to use some of these techniques to find out the real person who is in your stories, even a quick and easy feature story that you are doing. And she even says in her, this was her follow-up story that she did to this, and she even says like newspaper archives and court records also show evidence of this. Like it was in their own archives, which sucks even more. I know, it's always sucks. But check people out. Check people out is my key there. So some resources for you. This Who is John Doe is a website that, or it was on a website that was started by several IRE members years ago. We've kind of decommissioned that, but it was still such a great resource, so we put it in Google Doc now. And it's essentially a checklist for you guys. You can make a copy of this and customize it however you want, but it takes you through thinking through, you know, professional licenses and everything that a person could get into in their lives and public records about them with links. It's a great, great resource. And you can take it and make it your own. And then there's some other resources here, one from Kate, the reporter I mentioned, about strategies to make your own backgrounding checklist. So how would you customize that? And then a resource about scrubbing political candidates